Did you listen to Jeff and Professor Hamo in the morning? Here's what you missed.
Day. A story a day. So the other day, it was Friday, right? Friday, the Nobel committee was going to announce who would be this year's laureate, Peace Prize laureate. And of course, the odds were very heavy at Donald Trump with Kim Jong-un, what. So, you know, there was very little chance that the person who won it was going to win. However, I'd actually left the studio. I was on my way home when I heard that one of those, it's a joint award to two people who have been fighting crimes, as in sex crimes. So, let's go back a bit.
Yes.
2006, 12 years ago. I looked up this story. We were actually in the Congo doing a bunch of stories, right? And I looked up this story before that. I'd seen that there was this, it's not even a hospital. It was like a clinic in a place called Bukavu in eastern Congo. And in that clinic, victims of rape were being brought in, men and women, by the way, men and women being brought into this clinic. So I told my cameraman, I said, you know what, let's fly out to Bukavu. Let's go see this story, because the most incredible thing is there's only one doctor with hundreds and hundreds of patients. One doctor. So now, flying from Kinshasa all the way in the west to Bukavu in the east, do you know that Congo, DRC, is the size of all of Western Europe?
Huh?
The entire Western Europe, you can fit it into the Congo and still have space.
That is how big Congo is.
And when I was there 12 years ago, when I used to travel around there, there was total, in this country the size of Western Europe, there was 500 kilometers of roads.
500?
Only.
What? The rest need paths, situ?
Jungle.
What? And it's thick.
And the richest country on the planet, no doubt. 500 kilometers of roads in a country the size of Western Europe. So, obviously, what one does is fly from point to point, or you go down the Congo River. If you're daring enough, you can take a barge, which I've taken, from Kisangani all the way to Kinshasa.
You take a what?
A barge, a steamboat.
A barge. Boat.
A steamship sort of thing.
Oh, it's bigger than a boat.
It's bigger than a boat. It's like a ferry that keeps going.
Okay.
And on the ferry, they keep bringing all kinds of things. They stops in village after village. People come on board with crocodiles for sale. They come on board with monkeys, all kinds of things. But that's another story for another day. So, we're flying now from Kinshasa to Bukavu. It took us most of the day
to fly
from Kinshasa to finally get to Bukavu. One stop after another. Matadi, Mbujimai. We made like maybe 7 stops before getting to Bukavu. And we got there late in the evening. It was actually getting to nighttime, right? So we went straight to this place called Panzi. They call it hospital. It's not a hospital. Panzi Hospital. We got there just as the sun was going down. And we told the doctor, and we asked for permission. We said, listen, we're from CNN, we'd like to do a story. We hear that there's a doctor here who treats all these people. Can we see him? He told us, wait at the gate, we'll call him. Sure enough, after a little while, we're allowed in. We go to his office, and we met Dr. Denis Mukwege Mukengere. Mukengere. So explain, who we were, and we said, look, we've just flown in. We're asking you for permission. Could we come tomorrow morning and film? We want to film these women. We're here. We'll talk to them if possible. All that stuff. He says, look, I will consult with them. Where are you staying? We're staying at some local whatever B&B here. They said, okay, I'll send a message later on whether they agreed or not. So we said, no problem. So we go to the B&B, we're chilling, we're having dinner, relaxing. We get a message. Yes, we've been granted permission. Come tomorrow morning and do your story. Next morning we show up bright and early. As we enter, and I'm telling you, Hamo, I had read these stories, but I had no clue. there were more than 700 women from the ages of 7 years old to 77 years old. More than 700. All of them raped by soldiers, raped by men in uniform. Every one of these people. As we're entering, now we're filming as we're entering, this family brings in this woman in a wheelbarrow.
What?
Wheelbarrow. So we said, okay, they must have just come from maybe around the corner, around the town, whatever. They had come 45 kilometers on a wheelbarrow. This woman completely abused and oh my God, it was the worst thing ever. Brought in by her daughter and I think an aunt or something. Wheelbarrow, 40 kutoka Thika, let's just say from Thika is 40 kilometers away. Wheelbarrow, Paka, Panzi hospital. She had just come in as we were filming. The most pathetic thing. So we go into this room and now we start talking to these women, and they you know, they allowed us, you know, for us, you know, for them to talk to men about, you know, what had happened to them. It was I really give them, you know, props, and they told us what they went through, prof, what they went through. You know, gang raped by soldiers, some of 15, 25 of them over and over. Their husbands are forced to watch, and then they are killed in front of them.
What? The husband?
Yes.
Traumatic.
Can you imagine? Unbelievable. And this doctor is the one who's treating these women. There's one doctor for 700.
Wow.
And I told him, how can you handle this? He says, look, who else is going to do it? If not I, then who? There's no one else here. These women have no hope. They're coming from hundreds and hundreds of kilometers around to this one hospital. What do I do?
And they're being raped every day.
Every day. And the worst part is, as soon as they're treated here, they're sewn up, they're treated, all that stuff, they are they have no choice but to go back to their villages.
Oh my.
So what happens?
They are raped again.
Again and again and again. And Dr. Denis Mukengere, I would never forget, he says, look, this work has to be done. And I will continue doing this as long as God gives me strength. And then the women, you know, they were so grateful to him. You know, they was all singing all day long. Despite what they've gone through, now they're singing songs of hope too, to give each other psych. Oh my God. I remember one song in, I think it must have been in Lingala, they kept saying, we shall not be moved. You know, just like the one in the Bible.
Yes.
We shall not be moved. But you know, whatever happens to us, we shall not be moved. Bro.
And they know they're going through this process.
Yes.
They're healing, then they're going back.
Exactly.
And the chances are they're going to be raped again.
Imagine. So I wrote this story that night. We put the pictures together and I wrote it. And I was so angry that night. I said, you know what, forget this journalism objectivity stuff. I am going to write now from the victim's perspective. And I put it in there. And I wrote it. When that story aired in Atlanta, the headquarters, in Atlanta, everyone stood up to watch the screen, and there was not a dry eye in the entire studio, newsroom. There was not a dry, men, women, everybody was crying. And then the responses from Americans, you know, because first it showed in America and around the world, obviously, but the responses, people now, literally, volunteering to fly to Bukavu, sending container loads of medicine and everything that the doctor would want, that the clinic was lacking. I'm telling you, the response, unbelievable. And this doctor, he was so overwhelmed, man. And you know, I called him a few days later and he says, thank you, merci beaucoup, mon frère. Because he says, you know, without the exposure. And from then, now people started doing stories, started going to Panzi and helping him out and building this stuff and building an extension, bringing equipment. And then today, it's actually a fully fledged hospital. And he continues, 12 years later, he continues to do what he was doing back then.
And there are still cases.
And there's still, oh God, in the Eastern Congo, it's the wild, wild west, man. Crazy.
It's still chaotic.
Madness, my friend. Madness. But when I heard that the this year's Nobel Peace Prize laureate was Dr. Denis Mukengere. I was so proud, man. I was so proud. And I said, yes, there is a God.
There is a God.
And there is hope.
Yes.
And there is hope.
In the midst of all that chaos,
Madness.
there is one person. Mwenye ako na roho tu. It's like he is shielded from all the realities around him, and he still does a great. You see, 45 kilometers, and they're being wheeled in
a wheelbarrow
by a doctor and an aunt who also can be
raped.
Yes.
On the way. Absolutely.
I mean, that is a miracle. Do you even reach the hospital?
In the richest country on the planet. It's cursed. Cursed beyond belief. But this is what we call a story a day.
Catch Jeff Koinange and Professor Hamo every day, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Hot 96.